Okay everyone, so welcome again to another one of our lessons here. And for this lesson, I just want to go and create another section here. And let's go and create our community section here from where we will be having some blocks or let's say cards from where we will be placing links to some of our projects before. Or in this case, in my case, this will be redirected to some sites that I've developed, such as my photography, WordPress site, the Mata ng Bayan Chronicles website that I've built for a local news outlet here in the Philippines, and to the Reverb Nation site from where some of my original songs or our original songs of my band are stored and can be accessed by some of the music enthusiasts who are interested to listen to them. So let's go and try to apply some of the things that we've so far learned in our previous lessons here. So I'll be creating a community container here. I'll have an h2 with a class name community heading. Again, these are just my preferred way of naming my classes. You can name them any way that you want, but I'm using the block element modifier here. So inside of the h2, I would want to go and type here community partners. And inside of this div container, I would want to go and have a UL with a class of clearfix so that we can apply what we have learned in the previous lessons that we have had. So we have li box here times 3. And I also want to, besides from a general styling that I will be applying for the boxes here, let's have another box 1, box 2, and box 3 here. And then we just want to go and use some anchor elements here. So let me just go and select these 3 here. And let's just first make them dead links. Now, once these boxes are clicked, I would want to go and let me just go here, do the same thing that we applied in our about section, and we would want to have a target attribute here that will be opening a new window for us. Okay, so let's now go to our style sheet here, and let's go just below the children's story section. Let's go create a community section here. Let's save that. Now let's go and target the class name community that we used and give it a height of 80vh, text align center, padding of 50 pixels, and 0 pixels here. And then let's also go and try to go and target the clearfix for the UL class name that we specified. So if you remember, we've already tackled this, so I won't be going through it anymore too much on what are the contents of this properties here. If you forgot, you just need to go back to our lessons when it comes to using the float property and display table in this case. Then here I would want to go and target the box class here and float them left. Background color will be FFF or white. Then let's have a height of at least 300 pixels and width of at least 300 pixels. Oops, let me just correct this. So we're just applying here the things that we have so far learned in our previous lessons already. So you can go and try to apply each one of this properties and try to check again if you already forgot how they work through the documentation. So let me just go and open our project here. So I've already started my local server here. Let me just go open our browser, then refresh. Let's see how that will look in our browser already. Okay, so we have 3 boxes just below our block code here. Now we would want to go put some images inside of these boxes. So instead of using the image tag, we will be using the background image property. So if you remember, we know how to already apply and use the background image. So let me go back to our code editor here. And let's go to box 1. That's why we have another class selector here that we made. And that's because we would want to go and use here the background image for our website here. I'm going to use the first photography image here. Oops, sorry. Not that one. I want the photo website. Then semicolon here and then background size. So we did not use the image tag here in this case, and background position will be left. So let's first check how that will look on our browser. It's not working here, so let's go and go back to our code here. Let's see what's wrong. Okay, we can see here that I specified background color instead of background image. Let's go back to our browser here and refresh. And there we go. We now have our first community partner, which is RBS Lopez Photography, inside of our first box. So I would want this to have an effect, a little bit of an effect, and that would be, I would want all of the boxes to be hovering. So I'm going to select the box, general box style here, class selector that we use, this specific class here. And we would want to go and apply some styling for the hover state. So let's go and give it a box shadow of -2 pixels. I've already explained the values here, so I won't be going into details anymore. And 0, 0, 0, and for the opacity, I would want it to be 0.89. And cursor, once we hover on top of the boxes, I would want the cursor to change to a pointer. So let's go back to our browser here and refresh. And let's see how that will look. Okay, so there's a bit of box shadow that seems like making our boxes elevate from the background. Okay, so that's our boxes now here. We just need to go and apply the same techniques in the other boxes. Now let's go and select our box 2. So we have box 2 and same deal, we would want to have a background image. URL will be, in this case, I would want to use the mbchronicles.logo here that I ask permission from my client that I will be using in this course. So same deal, we will just be applying the background size here, which is cover. And for the background position, we can go and use the percentage values instead of the left, right, center values. I would want to use 50%, 42%. Let's go back to our browser here. Let's see how that will look. And there we go. We have the Matanang Bayan Chronicles image on our box here. The only thing that I don't want here is that it's too big, and I just want to go and specify the image, and I would want the border and the word publishing here shown in our site. So let's go back to our index index.html here, and let's go and reduce this to 25%, and I want to change this to contain and background repeat. Let's first see what that will do if we apply contain. Let's try to go and refresh our browser here, and you would see that we were able to minimize the image here. However, it has a repeat value, so we would want to go and make sure that there's no repeat for the background image. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to use the background property, background repeat property, no repeat. Then let's go and refresh our browser here, and now this is how I want the logo to be shown inside of the box. Okay, so at least we now have two of them here. Now for the box 3, let's go and copy this and replace the image here to the logo of my band, which is Sidhaya 2. And I want this to be 15% and 42%. And no repeat. Let's just have this as a cover. Now let's see how that will look on our browser here. Oops. We have to replace this with sidhaya.jpg and change this to box 3. Because we will be using this image in once we work with our media queries. I will be discussing some topics about basic responsive web design, so at least you'll have an introduction to it. So now we have these boxes that can be linked to our partner websites. So let me just go and specify here a color of brown. Now let's try to go and refresh this, so at least we have same color for the heading here. Now let's try to go to our partner websites here and go get the links, so at least we can go and place them here inside of our community links here for each of the sites. We have here the Chronicles. Let me just go put that here. And lastly, our site here. So let's go here and let's see what will happen once we try to go and refresh our browser here and click on this in each of the links that we have here. So if I try to go and click on it, nothing's happening. We are not being redirected out of our site here, and it's not opening new tabs here. So I tested things out here, and I even did some research about it, and one of the things that I found out is that what you need to do is to place the LI from where you have specified the image. So if I try to go and save here, so we do have the box 1 class here inside of the LI, and if we go to our site here now and I try to click on it, you would see now that the link is working. It's now an image, a list item that is considered as a link to another site. Okay, so if I try to go back here and try to go here, so it's more on the nesting process that we used here. So instead of the LI being the parent element of the list or the anchor tag here, we will make them, the anchor element will be the parent element of the LI. Now the question here just take note, if we try to go back to our browser here, we know that the links are now working. It's redirecting us to the partner pages that we have here, except for the middle one here. Let me just check. Okay, so we can see that there's an extra closing tag there. Let's refresh, and now it's working. However, the question here is on whether is this something legal that we should be following or we should be doing. Is it semantically correct? And if we try to go and read some discussions about this, I actually found a good discussion here. And let me just show this to you. I did some research, I did some reading, and you would see here the only legal element allowed inside a UL is an LI. You cannot have an anchor wrapped around the LI. This holds true in HTML5, where an anchor can wrap around other block level elements. So now we get to a discussion and there's some concerns here. So what we just need to do here is to make our anchor element inside of our LI the same size as its parent element, which is the LI element. So this is a good way. This is again the reason why I'm highly encouraging that you do your research. Researching is really a good way for you to gather information and verify certain things here. So we know that the method that we did here is working. However, it is not recommended. So what we're going to do here, we will place, again, I will bring this back here. I just wanted to show you that. I will place the anchor element inside of the LI here. And I'm going to go and give this a class name. And I want to go and call this list item link. Now let's go and try to use this as a selector. Let's go up here inside of our box here, or perhaps after the boxes. Now let's go and apply the styling that we found in our discussion or the research that we did, and we don't want any text decoration. If we go back here, we would want our anchor element to be displayed as a block element, and the width will be 100%. So let me just copy that. And let's see if this will work as compared to the first method that we used in our, let me just, okay, and click this, and you would see now it's working. Even though we did not use our anchor element as the parent element of the LI element. So again, guys, this is very important. So the value of researching and verifying first if it's a valid way of using certain elements. So we can now see here that we can go and try to Control C this and apply this method instead of having our anchor element as the parent element of the LI. We can go and maximize the use of that method for turning LIs that has an image inside of it, or LIs that we specified and we used as a container for images, and use the anchor element here, and we resize it according to the size of the LI, the parent element, and that's why we use this class selector list item link that contains the values here that has text decoration on, display is block, so that we can add a width and height property. Now going back here, let me just go and make sure that all of the anchor elements contains the class selector that we've created here. So let's go back to our browser here and refresh, and let's see if all of the links are now working. And you would see now that the links to our target websites our community partners are now working. I hope you got the idea here with regards to how we can turn images inside of an LI element and make it a link to another page. The same thing that we did here. We turned each of these images into a link to a partner website. So that will be all for this lesson. Thank you and see you on our next lesson.